Hey ladies and gentlemen, Christoph the Polish Geek, and welcome to another movie review. And I'm reviewing Pixar's Inside Out 2. And I have to be honest, right away in the video, it's been a while since I've been this happy about a Pixar movie. Like, I think this is probably the best Pixar movie since Soul and Luca. Maybe even better than those two. I don't know, I'll have to watch it again at least to really know for sure, but yes, I haven't been this happy about a Pixar movie in a while. Like, I strongly dislike both Turning Red and Lightyear, and I thought Elemental was decent but nothing special. But Inside Out 2 I really like. But before we get to it, first I'll say I think the first Inside Out was a really great movie and one of Pixar's better movies. It certainly was in my top 10 best Pixar movies. Like number 6, number 7, somewhere there, I'm not sure. But yes, I always thought the first Inside Out was a really great Pixar movie. And of course, when Inside Out 2 was announced, in the current Disney state of things, I was obviously worried. Like, I was pretty sure they were going to be inserting political agenda into this movie like they insert into most movies nowadays, and that in general the movie will not be good, especially all the marketing and virtue signaling. But I was so wrong. Inside Out 2 is a very worthy sequel to the first Inside Out movie. I think it's a really great movie, and I very strongly recommend it, and it's by far the best animated movie of 2024 so far, although, admittedly, there haven't been any good animated movies this year, until now. But to talk about Inside Out 2, we need some refreshment on the first Inside Out, because the first Inside Out was about this girl Riley and living emotions inside her head, and Riley is moving from Minnesota to California with her parents, and then it's hard for her to adjust to her new life, like, and she feels depressed, sad, angry, and she just misses her home of Minnesota. And I always thought it was a very well done and well told, self-contained story. And then it focuses mostly on the emotions inside her head, like there was joy, sadness, fear, and disgust, and anger, and those emotions basically kind of like, and the movie was focusing on those living emotions inside her and kind of like how Riley operates outside in real life based on those emotions. And I thought it was a really unique and creative concept, and it was really cleverly done. And Inside Out 2, I think, has all that too. Except that now Riley's a teenager, because plenty of people have been saying that Inside Out was a great self-contained story that didn't need a sequel, and while I do agree with that overall, at the same time I thought this was a type of movie that the sequel could actually work perfectly, because she was kind of like a preteen in the first movie, but now she's a teenager, so obviously she's going to struggle with entirely new things. And the movie, I mean, we already knew that from the trailers and the plot points and all, but at the same time, I mean, we already knew that from the marketing, the trailers, and from everything, but at the same time, new emotions are arriving. Emotions that often actually are within the teenage circle, like anxiety, envy, and I think this was really cleverly done, actually. But also, there were some things I didn't actually see coming, like, for example, I didn't actually know that anxiety was actually going to be an antagonist in this movie, not really a villain. Like the first movie, this movie doesn't really have a villain, which I think is overall good. Like, I love good villains, but some movies just don't need villains, and I think both first and second Inside Out movies are perfect examples of movies that don't really need villains. Like, because the new struggles with Riley as a teenager is that she's moving on to high school and her two best friends are going to a different school, which makes Riley feel very sad and depressed. And then they're all going to a hockey camp where Riley actually meets her idol, who also plays hockey, and she wants to befriend her and her friends, but at the same time also she kind of ends up neglecting her two best lifelong friends. And some people would say it's pretty cliche, but I thought it was very creatively done, with also, again, focusing on the emotions inside Riley's head. And this also makes the movie, just like the first actually, pretty relatable, because we've all been teenagers and we've all been having that phase, or maybe if you're a teenager and you're watching me, then maybe you're going through that phase now. Maybe. And also it kind of reminded me of this Polish show that I watched, this paradocumentary Szkoła, or high school, it will be translated into English, where also teenagers struggle with those type of problems and plenty of others. I mean, it's a show with like 800 at least episodes, so there are plenty of things that teenagers struggle in that show. But I also thought that maybe that Riley would be struggling with a romance on first love, but I'm glad they didn't go down that route, because first loves, rejections, that's actually a pretty common teenage problem, but also it became so cliche in movies that I'm really happy they chose to focus on a different typical teenage problem, which is basically trying to blend in with a cool crowd, but also kind of trying to sacrifice what type of person you are in everyday life in general as a person. But overall, I think Inside Out 2 is a great movie, best Pixar movie in a while, strongly recommend it, but it also made me come to one conclusion, that clearly, unlike Disney, Pixar clearly very much cares about telling you actually good stories with great characters and all, but at the same time, the reason probably they don't do that much at this point is probably because Disney has them on a leash. But at the same time, it's pretty obvious to me that Pixar cares far more about good storytelling than Disney does. And Inside Out 2 is a perfect example of that. And this movie has done something that most things fail nowadays. It respects the previous movie that came right before it, and it also, while also building up on that story. Inside Out 2, great movie, check it out, and thank you everyone for checking out this video. Press the like button, please subscribe to this channel, and I'll talk to you soon in another video. Talk to you soon, bye!